During the Cold War, the US and Russia were competing to be the ultimate superpower. This began an arms race to develop the most powerful weapons in the world. As advancement was happening in the field of military technology, military warfare was also changing with the introduction of new weapons and armor technologies. Today we are going to pit the US's M240 and Russia's PK machine guns against each other. How do they stand up against each other? How do they complement US and Russia's military doctrine? And which one will come out on top? The M240 is a US-made variation of the FN Mag, a general-purpose machine gun developed in Belgium and is one of the most widely used and deadly weapons in the world. The trigger mechanisms, quick-change barrel, and spring-loaded dust cover of the mag were all reminiscent of the German MG42 from World War II, while the majority of the weapon's design was based on the Browning Model 1918 bar. The M240 was introduced to the U.S. Army in 1977 as a coaxial tank gun. In the 1980s and 1990s, it gradually found more uses after being adopted by the U.S. Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard despite sharing many of the same characteristics. Similar to its predecessor, the M240's durability leads to greater reliability when compared to the M60. The M240 was made to replace the trusty old M60 to fight modern wars and conflicts. Designed in the Soviet Union and currently in production in Russia, the original PK machine gun was introduced in 1961 and the improved PKM variant was introduced in 1969. The PKM was designed to replace the SGM and RP-46 machine guns that were previously in Soviet service. The gun was developed by a team of Izhevsk mechanical plant designers, headed by the legendary M.T. Kalashnikov, who developed the infamous assault rifle AK-47. Their machine gun prototype was based on the well-proven gas-operated rotary bolt design of the Kalashnikov's AK platform. The Kalashnikov and its competing prototypes underwent service tests in the Central Asian, Odessa, and Baltic military districts, as well as at the Vistral officer training courses in late 1960. The Kalashnikov design won the competition and was found to be more reliable and cheaper to manufacture than its competitors. The weapon remains in use as a frontline infantry and vehicle-mounted weapon with Russia's armed forces and has also been exported extensively and produced in several other countries under licensing agreement. The M240 has a fully gas-operated system which is more technical than the PKM, but it offers more reliability and requires less maintenance overall. It can weigh close to 30 pounds when equipped with a starting belt and extras like optics. And it is mostly used as a heavy machine gun in infantry vehicles. It has a standard barrel length that can go up to 24.8 inches for better accuracy at long range. It uses high stopping power 7.62 by 51 mm NATO rounds with disintegrating or non-disintegrating belt feeder, which are used by all NATO nations. It can fire between 650 to 950 rounds per minute using its various selector modes, which can blast a wall of lead to the enemy. The weapon's greatest effective range is 4,074 yards using a tripod to provide suppression in long-range battles. And it has a muzzle velocity of 2,800 feet per second to provide range and high penetrating power. And it cost approximately $6,600 per unit for an average U.S. military's infantryman to carry. The PKM is an open-bolt gas-operated rotary bolt design of the Kalashnikov's AK assault rifle platform. The PKM weigh around 19.84 pounds, which makes it much easier to carry and fire by soldiers in the military operations. And compared to any variant of the M240, it is much lighter. It uses 7.62 by 54 mm non-disintegrating rounds, and with modification it can also use standard NATO rounds. And it is still used by the Polish military till this day. It can fire up to 650 rounds per minute sustainably, which is comparable to the M240. It also has a maximum firing range of up to 4,156 yards. Its muzzle velocity is 2,707 feet per second to provide high penetrating power at the long range. and it can cost up to $3,000 per unit, which is much cheaper than any M240's variants. The U.S. military's M240 machine guns have undergone numerous improvements throughout the years with various variants, and modified as per the different branches of the military. Like the M240B, which is also known as the M240 Bravo. It served as a standard medium machine gun of the U.S. Marine Corps, U.S. Navy, the Coast Guard, and some units in the U.S. Army. Later, the M240D is an upgraded version of the M240 Bravo was introduced, primarily in the addition of an optical rail on the receiver cover. Also, later on, the M240H is an improvement of the M240D. The M240H features a rail-equipped feed cover, an improved flash suppressor, and has been configured so that it can be more quickly converted to infantry standard using an egress kit. And, for the latest M240 Lima, also known as the M240L, a lighter version of the M240. It was developed to reduce the soldier's combat load while allowing easier handling and movement of the weapon. Like its U.S. counterpart, the PK also had gone with many improvements, each for specific military operation requirements. Like the PKMN, the N stands for night vision. This is a variant that have mounts to carry attachments like the night sights and scopes for night operations. The PKMS is a heavy machine gun. It is usually mounted on a 6T5 tripod, and are usually mounted on the infantry vehicles and suppressing positions. PKP Pechenegue is the most modern version of the PKM. It has a heavy fixed barrel encased in a radial cooling sleeve that uses forced air cooling. And there is HCP PKM. It is a completely modified version of the PKM used by the Poland military to use NATO rounds. The M240 is mostly used by U.S. allied nations like U.S., Japan, Poland, and now Ukraine as well in its current conflict with Russia. The PKM is also used by some of the powerful militaries like Russia, China, North Korea, and India. So which one is better? The M240 fits the U.S. fighting doctrine and the PKM fits the Russian fighting doctrine. The PKM fits perfectly within Russian infantry tactics. The whole army is built for offense. They have no light infantry, only mechanized units. PKM is mobile enough to allow soldiers to always be on the move. Russia doctrine is based on maneuvering two fire positions instead of the U.S. approach, which is to create a base of fire and then maneuver under that. And the PKM only weighs only 19.84 pounds compared to M240's 30 pounds. So if you're a soldier and you're running without suppressing fire to your fire position, you'd rather have the lightweight PKM than M240. But the M240 is better suited for NATO tactics for sustaining fire for a long period of time. Because of it, the M240 can fire up to 950 rounds per minute compared to the PKM's 650 rounds per minute. And due to its design, it's highly reliable and doesn't jam in high-firing situations. And some tests conducted by the U.S. military concluded that the M240 is superior and reliable in every aspect compared to the PKM. But why do so many powerful militaries in the world still use the PKM? Because it is lightweight and has enough firepower, but more importantly, it is cheap. Whatever the case may be, each of the guns are specialized to fight different types of war doctrine and they excel in them. So, what do you think? Does the reliability of the M240 outrun the PKM? Or the agility and high power rounds of the PKM will leave the M240 in the dust?